Okay. Now we have discussed about the IP and subnetting. I just want to ask you, subnetting is completely done, or else we have to discuss about a few more concepts about subnetting. Or does we start VPC configuration, or else Linux configuration, anything else? Just forgot why, because from so many days I have to go all the concepts. So yeah, tell me, what are the concepts that we have discovered, like discussed? I think we have completed IP, what is meant by IP address, and then we discussed about what is meant by subnet mask, and I hope that how to divide a single small subnet into multiple subnets. Did we discuss about that? How we can gateway and router. Okay, that's good. Good. Subnetting, like dividing a very big network into small network. Did we discuss about that? Yeah, okay, that's cool. If at all, if we are completing that, then we will be diving back into the next concept up to the. So we will be going into the VPC configuration today. The basic VPC configuration on the AWS global infrastructure. Global infra. Okay, and then we today we'll be discussing about how to configure a VPC and how to create an instance inside the VPC and what is meant by a key pair and all the things. And today we will stop at VPC configuration, so that our demos will be completed today. And from tomorrow onwards we will be discussing, and from tomorrow onwards we'll be diving back into the next configuration that is related to our main concepts, VPC pairing and all the things. So let us get back to the video. Let us get back to the concept. So AWS global infra. Now here, whenever we are creating any AWS, whenever we have created an AWS account, then what is going to happen? An Amazon account, after that, they are going to provide us some concepts like, first of all, let me log into my AWS console. Okay. Now, if you see here, whenever I logged into the console, then automatically this console is going to show you about the home page services that are provided by the Amazon, and then this is called as Cloud Shell, and then notifications and help and support. And here we are having something called as, here we are having regions. Now, what is this regions? Now, if you see here, there are so many regions that are available for this account. Now we will discuss about the one after the another region slowly, and then we will discuss about the next configurations. Now, if you see here, when you go to the AWS account, inside the AWS account, there are so many regions. There are some regions in America. So US region, simply I can go with the US regions, and some regions are there in the Asia Pacific region, and some regions are there in UK region and Middle East regions. Like that, we are having so many regions. Among them, so what is meant by region? First of all, here we are discussing about the geography, all around the world geography. So any location, any location, either it might be a city or else it might be a country, any location that is having a data center, that is having data centers, multiple data centers, is called as a region. Any geographical location that is having multiple data centers is called as a region. Geographical location having data center is called as region. Okay, so not only a single data center, you can have the multiple data centers, and we will discuss about that. Now, for example, if anybody asks me that where is your location, okay, if I say that my location, I stay at Hyderabad. Now that entire geographical location will come under, like, see, Hyderabad will be all around somewhere like 60 square miles. So all over the city will be around 60 square miles, which means that if I say I stay in Hyderabad, then that is so I am saying my city. In the same manner here, if I am going to create any resource, I am going to create any resource, then I can say that where is your resource, then they will ask me that. So I say that my resources are in North Virginia region, which means that US East one, or else my resources are in Ohio region, or else my resources are in California region. Like that, the geographical location is called as your region, and this region is further divided into. If I say that I stay in Hyderabad, then obviously the next question they will ask me is that where you stay in Hyderabad. Now, which means that the Hyderabad is going to divide it into multiple zones. Those are called as East Zone, West Zone, North Zone, South Zone, and Central Zones. And like that, the Hyderabad is going to divide it into multiple zones. In the same manner, the region is also going to divide it into multiple subzones. So those are called as availability zones. Availability zones. So if anybody asks me, or else an availability zones are the subdivisions of your regions where you can have your resources, like where you can have your data centers. So what I'm saying, the collaboratively, whatever the data centers that we are having, that is called as a region, and those data centers will be divided apart from one to one, then that is called as an availability zone. Inside the availability zone, I will have some data centers. So for a region, so simply if I have to define about availability zones, AZs are the subdivisions of region where multiple one or more data centers are available. Data centers are created where one or more data centers are created. Now, if you see here inside a region, definitely we must have two availability zones. Definitely there should be two availability zones, and inside an availability zone we can have one DC, which means data center, or else multiple data center we can have that. Which means if I have to show in the pictorial manner, so this is called as your region. If I am taking this is your region, okay. Let me go with our Mumbai region also. We can go with Mumbai region. In Mumbai also we are having a region, AWS region. Let us suppose this is AP-South-1. This is the Mumbai code, AP-South-1. Now inside Mumbai, what I am going to do, I am going to create an availability zone. This is an availability zone, which means inside this availability zone, I am having a data center. I am having a single data center. I might have a single data center, and another availability zone is there. We can have another availability zone, and here I can have a single data center, or else I can have the multiple data centers. This is a single data center, or there will be two data centers like this. And the distance between availability zone must be 100 kilometers or else 60 miles from one availability zone to another availability zone. If a data center is located in somewhere like Mumbai, in the center of Mumbai, I have to implant, or else I have to create another data center, definitely with a distance of 100 kilometers, 60 miles of distance. With a 60 miles of distance, I have to create another data center. If I am creating less than 100 kilometers, if at all, if I am creating a data center in 50 kilometers range, then so if I am creating this data center within a range of 50 kilometers, then this data center will also comes under the same availability zone only. So the distance between two data center, if I have to call them as two different availability zones, then definitely the data center must be at a distance of the two data center. The distance between two data centers must be 60 miles. Okay. Now, if you see here, distance between AZs. They are fully isolated. What is meant by availability zone? Here it is having a clear definition. They are fully isolated partitions of AWS global infrastructure with its own powerful infrastructure. An availability zone is physically separated from the another zones. There is a distance of several kilometers, although all are within 100 kilometers. So 60 miles each other. So should I use 2 or 3 availability zones? Obviously, you can. So what is the distance between an availability zone? So exactly 60 miles. So as we already discussed that we need to have a 60 miles of distance from one availability zone to the another availability zone. Why? Because of take caring of the climatic changes. If at all, if due to heavy rains and all the things, if one availability zone is shut down, or else if one data center is down, then the user can retrieve that data. I am not saying about the servers. So in S3 bucket, whatever the users has been creating, whatever the user has created their S3 buckets data, or else the data that is stored in S3 bucket, obviously that is going to replicate it in multiple availability zones. We will discuss about that in the S3 bucket, but as of now, the data is completely stored in the availability zone, backed in the availability zone. So if at all, if one availability zone is down, then automatically I can get the data from the another availability zone, so that I can have high reliability of data. So this is called as my availability zone configuration. So this is the region. Inside the region, I will have 2 availability zones. Inside the availability zones, I will have the data center. Now, inside the data center, what you can have? So if you think this is your data center, inside the data center, you will have multiple rack servers. So actually, there are 3 types of server configurations. One, I can say it as, I can call them as a form factors. Form factor means the particular architecture that defines the shape and structure of any device is called as a form factor. So if at all, if I have to say about what are the different types of form factors that there are 3 types of form factors, server form factors. One is tower server. This is one of the form factor. And the second one is a rack server. And the third one is blade server. Okay. These are the 3 different types of form factors that we are having. Tower servers are equivalent to your desktop. However, your desktops are looking. So in the same manner, the tower servers will be looking like. So if I have to show you, let me go back here and I will say tower servers. So this is how your tower servers will be looking like. So like same as like your desktop, same as like your desktop servers. Okay. Now, if you go for the rack servers will be looking like, so first of all, there will be a networking rack. Inside the networking rack, there will be the servers mounted. So let me go back here. These are all example of your tower servers. This is how your tower servers will be looking like, very huge, but they are compact in size, and the heat generation of your tower servers will be very high. Why? Because all the components are located in a single mount or a single cabinet. So the heat generation will be very high when you compare with the rack server and blade servers. And if I go back to the rack server, so this is how your rack servers will be looking like. There will be racks. So I will show you. This is how your racks will be. Inside the racks, you will have the servers. You can have the servers. You can have the networking devices, firewalls, whatnot. You can have a server that can be mounted inside a rack. So like this is like your wardrobe. So if you see here, these racks are like your wardrobe. So if I have to show you, this is how your racks will be looking like. And inside the racks, you can have your servers mounted. And this is how your servers will be looking like. So if you see here, these are all comes under the rack servers. Now, the next one is blade servers. So the blade servers are also mounted in the racks. Now, the blade servers are also mounted in the racks. But here for the blade servers, if you see, this is called as a blade. Whatever that is coming outside of this is called as a blade. And this is called as a chassis. So whatever you are looking at, this is called as a chassis. So if you see, This complete cabinet is called as a chassis, and inside the chassis you can have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So total 16 chassis will be there. So I can simply call it as a 16U server, 16U blade server, 16 units of blade server, and this is called as a chassis. And this chassis also can be mounted inside the rack. If you see here, this is a server rack. Inside the server rack, what he is doing. Now I will go for the image. Now, if you see, I think you can clearly see here, these are the rack servers. Whatever you are seeing here, these are the rack servers. And if you go down, this is the blade server, which is mounted in the same rack. So if you see, these are all the blades, and each and every blade will have the RAM, CPU, and storage will not be there. RAM and CPU, motherboard will be there. So this is how you are going to connect your blade servers, and this is how you are going to connect your rack servers. So rack servers and blade servers both can be mounted in a single rack. And the main difference between rack servers and the blade servers are that rack servers are completely mounted, and blade servers are the multiple servers that are mounted, multiple physical servers that are mounted inside the chassis, and this chassis will be mounted back into your racks. So this is how your rack servers and more blade servers will be looking like. So these are the three types of form factors that you are having. And when we coming back to our concept, and this is a rack, inside the rack you can have multiple rack servers or blade servers. These are the physical servers. This is how your server will be there, and there will be another server. Okay, this is, if you think this is your blade server, this is how your blade servers will be configured inside the rack. And then what happens here, inside the physical servers, you can have your virtual machines deployed. So this is your virtual machines. So as I already said you, I think in the first class only I said you that. So your entire cloud is dependent on your virtualization. So this is your virtual machine, and there will be another virtual machine. So there will be so many virtual machines that are deployed inside the physical servers. So these are all the virtual machines that are deployed inside your physical servers, and each virtual machine have their own application. Now in this application I can in this virtual server I can deploy my own application app one here, and in this virtual machine I can deploy another app, and in this virtual box I can deploy virtual machine, I can deploy another app server, another app, and like that I can have multiple apps in multiple virtual machines. So this is how your rack servers will be, and multiple racks will be there. Not only single rack you can have inside a data center, there will be some thousands of racks that are available inside the data center, and thousands of racks you can have some thousands and thousands of physical servers are available. So this is how your data center will be looking like. And each and every rack is interconnected with the networking configurations. By defaultly, each and every rack will be interconnected, so that there will be networking between each and every rack. So, and these are all interconnected, which means that one physical server will be able to communicate with the another physical server and another physical server's virtual machine also. So this is how they are connected with each other. So you don't need to worry about the networking connections. Everything will be taken care by your data center management only. The connectivity, the network connectivity and server maintenance is the complete hectic task. Or else it's the headache of the data center management team. So you don't need to worry about your servers. If at all, if there is a downtime of your servers, you can directly contact the data center, and there will be an license agreement will be there. Service, so SLAs, we will call it as an SLAs. There will be some agreements, and if your server is down, there is an agreement. So each and every data center will do an agreement with the client that if this server is unavailable for 20 minutes, we are going to sort it out. Within 20 minutes, we are going to sort out the issue. Just like an example, if at all, if you are using ACT internet or else any internet connectivity, the internet service provider is going to say you that if at all, if there is a downtime in your internet connectivity, we will be reconnecting, or else we will be resuming that downtime by 24 hours. Within 24 hours, we will be reconnecting that. If not, we are going to pay off how many days you are not going to get your internet. The same manner in data center also, the data center management will have an SLA with the client. Okay, service level agreement. I can simply call it as a service level agreement. So they will have an agreement with the client that if at all, if your application is down due to our end, due to our maintenance, we are going to resume your application within 20 minutes or else within an hour, or else if it is critical, then they are going to go for 20 minutes or else 20 minutes to 40 minutes. And if it is normal, then they will go for 2 to 4 hours. And if it is okay, so there will not be any problem, then they will take 1 day of time also. So depending upon your service level agreement. So SLAs, they are going to do all these configurations. So hope you understand the infrastructure. Any doubts here, guys? And depending upon your infrastructure, do you have any doubts? Waiting for your reply. Is there any doubts here?
No, Chaitanya.
Okay, fine. Just call me Chaitanya. That's okay for me. Okay. Oh no. Okay, fine. So nobody is having any doubts. That well and good. And if I have to show you, let me give you a definition for this. Again, you will have something in your mind. He is not providing any definition. So let me go back. AWS global infrastructure. So here we are having locations like edge locations and regional edge caches. We will discuss that in the CDN, content delivery network. But as of now, we will be discussing about these two things. A region is a geographical area. That's it. Each region consisting of two or more availability, two more availability zones. Actually, 2 or more availability zones. A region is a collection of data center. We already discussed about that, which are completely isolated from the another region. And coming back to availability zone, an availability zone is a facility that can be somewhere in a country or inside a city. Inside this facility, like that is data center, we can have multiple servers, switches, load balancing, firewalls, everything. So the things which are interacting with the cloud sits inside the data center. An availability zone can be several data centers, but if they are close together, they are counted as a single availability zone, as we already discussed about that. If any data center that are very near to each other, then they are calculated as a single availability zone. Okay. Now let us go back to the next configurations. So this is about your AWS configurations, and I hope that you have your AWS account. Now let us create a VPC. Here we need to discuss about what is meant by VPC. Before that, what is meant by public IP and what is meant by private IP? Can anybody say what is meant by public IP and what is meant by private IP? Did we discuss that?
Yes.
Yeah, what is meant by public IP?
Actually, one is given by internet provider and the other one is by within organization.
Okay, very good. Nice way of replying that. Thank you for replying. Anyways, coming back to this public IP and private IP. Public IP and private IP. So these are the two types of IPs that we are having. So before, so whatever the IPs that we are going, that we are using within an organization, how many IPs that we are using within an organization, then those IPs will come under the private IPs. I hope that I have given the list of private IPs, but again, I am telling you the private IP list 10.0.0.02, 10.255.255.255. This is the first range of public IP, private IP, and the next one is 172.16.0.02, 172.31.255.255. This is the second range of private IP, and next one is 192.168.0.02, 192.168.255.250. This is the third range of private IPs that we are having. So please be remaining. So please note this private IPs, which are very important for you. Why? Because we will be revolving all around this private IPs only. So in our complete AWS concepts, or else in the VPC creation, or else whatever the VPCs that we are configuring, not only VPCs for the resources, subnets, everything. So we will be revolving within these three subnets, within these private IPs only. We'll be not going for any further public IPs. So always we will be using the private IPs. Why we are using these private IPs? I will let you know about that. But for creation of VPC and all the things, we require private IP only. So if you note down, then we can go for the next one. Okay, let us get back to the next concept. Here, actually, there are two types of clouds. Actually, there are three types of clouds, but I'm going to give it as a two types of clouds. There are two types of clouds. One is public cloud and the other one is private cloud. One is public cloud and the other one is private cloud. Now, public cloud and the second one is private cloud. So now let me go with this. As I already said you that if I am having an AWS account, then I'm accessing towards my public cloud. So whatever the AWS account that I am having, Amazon account that I am having, inside the Amazon account, I can clearly say that I am having a public cloud access. I am having my public cloud access. Suppose if I am an infrastructure or else IT service employee or else IT service provider. Now this is my cloud environment. So overall, I am having my AWS account. So I am having this cloud environment. Now with this cloud environment, I am having here, I am entering into a region and this is my US-East-1. Okay, US-East-1. This is the first region that I am entering into. Now what I am going to do inside that region, what I am going to do is I will be having multiple availability zones as we discussed about the global infrastructure. So there will be a region, inside that region there will be multiple availability zones. So for example, this is my first availability zone and this is my second availability zone. I am going to create a second availability zone also. There will be second availability zone and there is the third availability zone. Actually for US East 1 for North Virginia region, this is the first region where the first AWS data center was introduced. So in US East 1 region, we will be having 6 availability zones. Now, what I am doing, these are the 3 from 6 availability zones. I am going to take only 3 availability zones. And this is, I can call it as US-East-1A, and the second one is B, and the third one is 1C. These are the 3 availability zones that I am having. And these 3 availability zones are interconnected with each other. And these 3 availability zones are interconnected with each other. Like this. Okay. So we don't need to worry about the interconnection, or else if I am having a server in availability zone, can another server that is created in the another availability zone will be communicated or not? By default, any server in any availability zone can be communicated. So this is how we are going to communicate with multiple servers. Okay, multiple availability zones can be communicated. Now this is the physical infra of your region and availability zones. This is the physical infra of your region and the availability zone. Now what we are having here, now next one, what we are going to do. Now this is my public server. This is my complete public infra. Now a particular company has came to my location, or else a particular company has came to my IT service company, and they are asking me that, suppose there is a company called as Suppose there is a company called as Ola, or else there is a company called as I will take another company called as Uber. Okay. So now the Uber company people has came to me and they asked me that I want to deploy my resources, like my servers, whatever the servers are there. I want to deploy my resources inside your public cloud, or else directly they went to the Amazon itself and they are asking the Amazon like this. I want to deploy the servers or else resources into your public cloud. So now what Amazon is going to do, okay, we will provide the services to you, and they have provided a particular infrastructure, or else they has provided a particular space for Uber to create their servers. Now this is what Uber private cloud. Okay. Now Uber has created their servers. For example, let us think that Uber has created their own servers over here. Just assume that there is no private cloud. Now Uber has created their own servers here. At the same time, the competitor, so who is the competitor of Uber as per India? That is Ola, I think. So the competitor has came and they are also asking that I want to deploy my servers too. I want to deploy my servers too. Okay. I want to deploy my server too. Now here what I'm doing, I am deploying my server over here. So Ola server here. Okay. So when I deployed my Ola server here, the what happened, both are deployed in the same region or on same availability zone. Now there might be a chance, as I already said you, that one physical server will be communicating with the another physical server in the data center, and there might be a chance that this Uber server will be communicating with this Ola server. There might be a chance, I'm not completely saying that, there might be a chance that they will be communicating. If these two are communicating with each other, then that is a privacy issue, which means that one is a competitor of another one. So two servers should not communicate. It should have its own resources. So to overcome all these problems, now what has done, the Amazon has provided Amazon has provided one of the configuration that is called as your VPC. The name itself indicating that it is a virtual private cloud. So just forget about the virtual. Now tell me what is this? Just forget about virtual. Just tell me what is meant by private cloud. So can you tell me what is meant by private cloud? Unmute yourself and tell me what is meant by private cloud. Resources are independent to that client. Okay, the resources assigned to one particular client or a company. Okay, very good. So any resources that are provided to a single client, then that is called as a virtual private, that is called as a private cloud. Now here what we are doing, we are deploying that the private cloud in the public cloud. We are deploying the private cloud in the public cloud, then that is called as a virtual private cloud. Now how can I define that? So if I have to define virtual private cloud or else VPC, I can simply say that the cloud that is mute yourself, the cloud that is secure and isolated Mute yourself. If you want to ask me any questions, you can ask me, but as of now, mute yourself. Why you are unmuting again and again? Okay, the cloud is that is secure and isolated and created inside a public cloud. So the cloud that is secured and isolated and created inside a public cloud, then that is called as my virtual private cloud, which means that here these two are important, secure and isolated, which means that for one VPC, you will not have the communication with the another VPC. So that now what is going to happen here? Now, as I already said you here, the Uber and whatever the VPC that I'm configuring now, like Vola VPC, these two VPCs will not have any communication. So these are secured and isolated, which means that these two VPCs will not have the communication with each other, and they will have their own infra also. As like they are having their own infra outside, physical infra outside. In the same manner, in cloud also they will have their own infrastructure. So the resources in one VPC will not communicate with the resources in the another VPC until the user requests that. Until the user requests, the VPC, one VPC will not get communicated with the another VPC. Did you understand this? Okay. Now let us go back and create a VPC here. To create the VPC, we need to go for the VPC console. This is the VPC console that we are accessing. Okay, this is the VPC. Now what I'm going to do, create the VPC. I'm going to create a Uber VPC. First of all, let us give the name called as Uber-VPC. And here we need to provide the CIDR. The CIDR block of the Uber VPC, I will go with 172.17.0.0/16. This is the CIDR of the Uber VPC that I am providing. Why I requested you to learn the CIDRs and all the things? Because of this reason. If you don't understand the subnetting concept, then that will be tricky for you to understand this concept also. So that is the reason why I request you again and again to learn the networking concepts. Okay. So here I will create the VPC. Now, if I go back here, a VPC has been created. That is Uber VPC, and the CIDR is 172.17.0.0. Let me delete this wiki VPC. I don't want this. And delete the VPC. By default, when you create, or else when you create your account, automatically in each and every region you will have a default VPC provided by the Amazon itself. So if I go to California region, so if you see here, by default there will be another VPC. Default VPCs are available in each and every region. If I go here, Oregon region, here also you will have the default VPC. Now see that. This is the default VPC which is provided by the Amazon. And this is the default VPC which is provided by the Amazon itself. So in each and every region, there will be a default VPC. So you can customize your own VPC. You can create your own VPC. So I will select the Uber VPC. And now what I am going to do here is edit DNS host names, enable, save the changes. Now I have created a VPC, which is meant by a virtual private network, which is extended to all over my region. Inside my entire region, I will have this VPC occupied, which means that like this. In each and every availability zone, I will have this VPC. What is this VPC? This VPC is a logical network. So I have created this VPC, and the name of the VPC I gave as Uber-VPC, and the CIDR block that I have given is 172.17.0.0/16. This is the CIDR that I have provided for this VPC. That's it. It is done. And the next one that I am going to configure inside this VPC is, subnets. Now what I am going to do over here, Now I am going to divide this very big network. If you see /16, how many resources I can configure inside the /16? Can anybody say how many resources I can configure inside the /16?
2 power 16 minus
2 power 16, which means that 65,536 devices. But I don't want those many resources inside my VPC. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that VPC into small networks. Those are called as subnets. So here I am going to create a subnet. This is subnet 1. Which means that I am dividing this VPC into small subnets. This is subnet 1. And if you go here, this is my subnet 2. In the another availability zone, I can create another subnet, or else in the same availability zone also you can create the subnets, guys. So you are going to divide that network into multiple VPCs. Either you can have in the same availability zone, or else in the multiple availability zones also you can have the subnets. So I am going to create another subnet in the another availability zone. This is how I have created my subnets. Now for this subnet, I am going to give the name as uber-subnet-1, and the CIDR block that I am going to provide this for this subnet is, and the CIDR block that I am going to provide is 172.17.1.0/24. This is the CIDR that I am providing for this subnet. Okay. Now, what I am going to do here is I am going to create one more subnet over here. This is my uber-subnet-2, and the CIDR block is 172.17.2.0/24. If you understand the networking, why we are giving this 24 and 16, you can clearly understand that concept also. Please try to understand the networking concepts. Okay. The next one is uber-subnet-3, and the CIDR is 172.17.3.0/24. These are the three subnets that I'm going to create for the Uber VPC. Let us go back and create the Uber VPC. So first of all, I have created the Uber VPC. Let us go back and create my subnets. So here I will go to the subnets, create a subnet. In which VPC I need to create? Obviously in the Uber VPC, I have to create the subnet. And the name of the subnet that I'm giving is uber-subnet-1. And the availability zone where in the US East 1A, I am going to create that. And the CIDR is 172.17.1.0/24. This is the CIDR block that I am going to configure for that subnet. Create a subnet. And here again, I am going to create one more subnet. This is the Uber VPC. Inside the Uber VPC only, I am going to configure uber-subnet-2. And the availability zone, I am going to select as 1B. And the CIDR block is 172.17.2.0/24. And I am going to create the subnet. Second subnet has been created. And here I am going to create the third subnet in the same VPC. So this subnet value is uber-subnet-3, and the availability zone here is 1C. And the CIDR block is 172.17.3.0/24. These are the CIDR blocks that I am configuring, and I am going to create a subnet. So likewise, I have created 3 subnets. Okay. And these 3 subnets are created inside my Uber only. Okay. Now next, what I am going to do. So if you see here, okay, well and good. If at all, if I am creating any resources, how can outside people, like, see, I am sitting in Hyderabad. I am creating my resources in US region. Now, all the way from Hyderabad, I need to enter into the US region. That how we will discuss about that later. But what is my entry and exit point for my VPC? If at all, if I want to enter into my VPC, or else if I want to get out of my VPC, there should be an entry and exit point, right? For example, if there are some relatives are coming to your home, how can they enter into your home and how can they exit from your home? some relatives are coming to your home. How can they enter into your home and how can they exit from your home? Yes. How can they enter into your home and how can they exit from your home? Yes, guys. Obviously, if anybody want to enter into your home, there should be a gate, right? They will be enter into the gate only. Yes or no? In the same manner, if the data needs to enter into my VPC, if at all, if any data that needs to enter into my VPC, I need to have a gateway, and that is called as my internet gateway. So what I am going to do, I am going to create an internet gateway. This is my Uber-IGW. So first I will create an internet gateway. Okay, let me go back here. Let me go to my internet gateways and create internet gateway. This is my Uber-IGW. Just simply create the internet gateway. Now the internet gateway has been created. I need to attach the internet gateway. If you see here, the internet gateway has been created, and I will go back here. I will attach my internet gateway to my VPC. So I have attached this internet gateway to my VPC like this. Okay. So go back here, attach to VPC. And this is my which VPC I need to attach. Obviously, Uber VPC I need to attach the internet gateway, so that what happens here, the data that is flowing from outside or else the data that is coming from outside will be entered into the VPC from the internet gateway, or else any data that is coming out of your VPC also going to flow through your internet gateway only. So this will be the entry and exit point of your VPC. Okay. Now the next configuration that I am going to do here is, now see here, there is a person who is sitting inside your internet. Suppose if you think this is your internet, okay, and I am residing in Hyderabad. I am residing in Hyderabad. The client is residing in Hyderabad, and I want to connect to my VPC. So I will be connecting to my internet. So here I am connecting to my internet, and from the internet, what I am going to do, I am going to connect to my internet gateway. So here what we need to do, I need to say to data. So whatever the data inside my VPC, I need to say, I need to say the route for the data. So what is the route? If anybody asks you from the internet, if anybody asks you the data from the internet, then you need to go. So here we are having a server. For example, here in subnet 1, I am having a server over here, and this server is having so much amount of data. And if I want to transmit this data to the user, so what I need to say, so the VPC don't know where is the user located. Anywhere all around the world, the users may be accessing the data that is created inside the VPC. I don't know where the users are coming from. Either the user is requesting the data from Hyderabad, or else some users might be requesting the data from London, or else some users might be requesting the data from Pakistan also. I cannot say that. So what I want to say to my route or else to my VPC, simply I will say that to my VPC that if anyone asking you the data, so I'm saying the VPC that if anybody asking data from you, so then what you need to do is you need to transmit the data across the internet gateway. This is the route that I'm going to provide for my VPC, which means that, so there will be a routing table which is connecting my internet and my VPC. So let me go back here. I will go to the routing table here, and whenever you create any VPC, so here I have created my Uber VPC. Whenever I create any VPC, automatically with the VPC, two more services will be deployed. One is a routing table and the other one is security groups. As of now, if you see here, a routing table has been configured. Now, if you see, this is my Uber routing table. How can you say that it is a Uber routing table? If you see the VPC, which VPC this routing table is connected, obviously to the Uber VPC. So this is my Uber routing table. I will simply give it as Uber-RTB. Okay. Now, if you see the routes over here, routes. So it is only showing this route. Can you tell me what is this route means? Can anybody answer me what is this route means? Can anybody tell me? Yeah. Can anybody tell me what is this route means? What this route represent? So here we are having 172.17.00/16 and target is local. So what is this 172.17.00/16? Whenever we create the VPC, we have given this CIDR. So this is the IP address that belong to your CIDR. So exactly. So Anuprita, you are absolute on point. You are correct. So all internal component of VPC can connect with each other. So that is what this route represents. So all the internal services or else all the internal resources that are created inside the VPC can communicate with each other. Not about connecting, they can communicate with each other, and if we insist, they can connect also. So anyways, this particular thing says that the local within the VPC, how many servers that we deploy, they will communicate with each other. One server to another server will have the communication. So if I want to communicate with the outside, with the internet, so here I am going to create a routing table. The data inside, sorry, I'm not going to create that. Just give me a second. Sorry guys. So here what I'm going to do, select the routes and go to the routes, edit routes. I'm going to add one more route. And in this route, I am specifying that if anybody and anywhere, so 0.0.0.0/0 represent that any client from anywhere is trying to access the data, then allow that person to enter into the VPC through internet gateway. So this is what I am providing. So any person from the internet, which means that public. So here I am saying that public, not the private. Private means within the internal communication. So if at all, if I am having only this connection, then I can call it as a private. But here what I am doing, I am providing that if anybody, which means that 0.0.0.0/0 means anybody from anywhere is trying to access the data that is created inside the VPC, allow them to enter through my internet gateway. So that is the reason I am giving the internet gateway here, and I will save the changes, which means that now I have created this connectivity so that any person from the outside is able to access the data inside my VPC. Now, if I am saying any person from the outside, that means that there might be hackers, there might be somewhere threat. So there might be so many people. If they know the IP address of my resources, they can simply enter into that resources. So what I can do now, please be very clear with this, guys. Now what I am saying here, this means that in this routing table, by defaultly, if you see here, this is my Uber-RTB. If you go to the subnet associations, if you see the routes, here I have configured the internet gateway, which means that this routing table, whatever the routing table that I am specifying, that routing table is a public route. Why? Because I am providing the internet access through the internet gateway to my resources. I am providing the internet access. That means that everyone from the whatever the resources that are connected in this routing table, they can access publicly. Again, I am saying whatever the resources that are connected in this routing table, they can access the resources publicly. Now, if you go back and see, if I go to the subnet association, by default, all the subnets are inside this routing table, which means that all the subnets are the public subnets. So whatever the resources that are created inside this public subnets can be accessible by each and every person all around the world if they have the public IP. Again, I am saying the subnets that are created, or else if you see the subnets that are connected to this routing table are called as public subnets, which means that the resources in the subnet can be accessible by each and every person all around the world if they are having the public IP address of the resources, if the clients are having the public IP address of the resources. So for that, hope you understand this. So again, this is what happening. Now let me go back to my security groups. So first of all, I will go to the subnets here. What I am saying, all the resources will have the public IP. So the clients can access the resources. To have default public IP, I will go to the subnets and edit the subnet settings. Here I will enable auto assign public IP v4 address. What is the meaning of this particular sentence? Can anybody say? Enable, just translate that in your understandable language. Enable auto assign public IP addresses means what? If anybody want to say in Telugu also, they can say in Telugu. If anybody want to say in Hindi, they can say in Hindi also. I don't have any problem with both the languages. Yes. Enable auto assign public IP means what? Enable. So for that subnet, I am specifying that enable auto assign public IP, which means
Means if you are adding
Hello?
any new IP
Ratan?
address,
yes. So just give me a second.
So here instance will automatically get a public IP address when we are creating this one.
Yes, exactly. So whatever the resources that we are deploying, resources that we are deploying inside this public IP, they will get the, sorry, whatever the instances that are deploying inside this subnet, they will get the automatic public IP address. So that is the meaning of that. Okay. Exactly have the public IP as well as the private IP. Okay. So just go through the concepts once. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do back here. Fine then. Okay, let me go back to the subnets. Here I am going to enable the subnets, or else here I am going to enable the public IP to each and every subnet over here. Okay, enable public IP, save. Okay, that's well and good. I will, as of now, I will do only for the subnet one. We will do it for the next one. So I will go to the security groups. In the security groups, what I can say, this is the security group of my Uber security, or else I will simply say that Uber -security. Okay. So here there are two rules. One is inbound rule and the other one is outbound rule. Inbound rule means incoming traffic. So inbound, which means that incoming. So whatever the traffic that is entering into my VPC, so that I can restrict the traffic. So what I can say, this particular traffic only can enter into my VPC. This particular traffic only, this particular protocol only enter into my VPC. That I can say that. And outbound means, so from the VPC, whatever the data that is going outside your internet, so I can manage this outbound also. But most importantly, I need to go for the inbound. Why? So edit inbound rules. Here what I'm going to do here is simply I will delete this security group. As of now, just for the time being, just understand that here I am providing all traffic from anywhere, can enter into my location. So this is what I'm giving. All traffic can enter into my location. Okay. So this is how I am going to configure that. So my entire VPC configuration is done. So first of all, what we have done, we have created VPC, subnets, route table, and internet gateway, and then we have configured the security groups. So as of now, the VPC configuration is done. And take a break of five minutes. Now the time is 9:05. We will be rejoining by 9:10 and discuss about the configuration, how to deploy the servers and how to create the key pairs and how to access the servers, what are the basic Linux concepts, all these things we will discuss. So take a break of 5 minutes and we will rejoin it. query while creating VPC. What did enable DNS step do in the VPC? Very good. We will discuss when at the time of creation of instances, you will come to understand what is that enable DNS host names will do that. Okay, don't worry. I will tell you there. Okay. So yes, take a break and we will rejoin within 5 minutes. I'm going to stop the sharing. And so I have discussed about the configuration related to your VPC. So this is about how you are going to create your VPC. Let us go and create our first EC2 instance. So the EC2 instance that we are going to create here is, let me go back here. So I'm going to create an EC2 instance. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an EC2 instance right now. So let me go back here. So here, if you want to install the instance, launch instance, launch instance, and this is my server-1, and I'm going for the Amazon Linux. Hello. Hello.
Hey, Chaitanya, you're on mute.
So here we have created a server. Let me create one more server here, launch the instance. So if you go back here, you need to provide the name of the server, server-1. And here I'm going for the Amazon Linux and the instance type is T2 micro. And here we are having so many servers over here, so many instances over here, T2 micro, T2 medium, T2 small. So I'm going to go for the configuration. Whatever, if you are going for any another instances other than free tier eligible, then you have to pay for those instances. So that is the reason why I'm going for the free tier eligible. Then again, I will go for the key pair. Here, what is meant by key pair? This is very important, guys. So before going for the key pair, let me tell you a small question, small thing. Now, whenever a client is accessing any data, for example, here you are having a client, and this is the client that I am having, and this is the computer that I am having, and here I am having a server. And inside that server, I am going to configure. I'm going to configure a website. Okay. If any client want any data, or else if any client want any data, any sort of data, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to connect to the server. Now the client will request the data, or else the client will request the website from the server. Okay. Now the client is requesting the website from the server. Now what client is going to do? Client is going to provide a request, hello packet. He is going to send a hello packet. Now when he is sending a hello packet to the server, so what he is going to do, the server is going to respond to the client whatever he requests. So the server will provide the response. Here with the response, the server is going to give him a public key, and as well as it is going to provide a private key also. It is going to generate two types of keys. One is public key and the other one is private key. This private key is also going to be transmitted with the response to the client. Now, this private key will be with the client. Now, whenever the client is again, so this is how the first website is going to be loaded. First, client will send a request to the server, and the server will reply to the client with the private key. And again, now the client will request the server with the private key. So whatever you want to establish a secure connection with me, secure connection with the client. So he is going to transmit. He is going to again ask the server. He is going to again ask the server that I want the web server. Sorry, I want the website. Here I am going to provide the private key for you. So this is the private key which you have given, and I am going to give like this. So he will provide the private key to the website. Now, by looking this private key, the server will analyze that, okay, this is the private key which is generated by me and sent to the client. The client is sending the same private key to me. So I have to provide the server access to the client. So it is going to create a secure connection between the client and the server. This is the main reason why we are going to create a in the same manner. Now what you are doing, you want to access the virtual machine that is created inside the public server, or else you want to create a secure connection. You want to create a secure connection. You want to create a secure connection with the server. Now what you are going to do, you are going to lay, or else you are going to create a secure connection. But that, first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to create a public key. So here I am going to, in the AWS console, I am going to create a public key. And then with the public key, there will be we are going to generate a private key. With the public key, I am going to generate a private key, and this private key will be given to the client, whoever is trying to access the server. And the client who is accessing the server, they can have the private key. Nevertheless, another person who is trying to access without private key, they cannot access the server. So if you want to access the server, definitely you need to have this private key. Now this private key will be helpful for you to access the server. Now how? Here, if I go back here, let me go to my key pairs. Here I am going to create a key pair, and I will give it as a delete later. I am having so many keys, so I am not going to create another special key, but to make you understand, I am creating it delete later key, and that should be in the form of .pem file. So that should be in the form of .pem. Okay, select .pem, create a key pair. Now, when .pem delete later key file is created, automatically that has been downloaded. One type of key has been downloaded to the client machine. It is in my client machine, and this delete later key is with my AWS console, which means that it is the public key with the AWS, and this is the private key with the user. Now, if you go to the downloads, here you are having the delete later PEM file. Okay. So this is the PEM file, which means it is a private key, but this key is not suitable for you to access the server. Why? Because we are accessing the servers through putty. Through putty only you are accessing the servers, which means that if you are accessing your server through putty, .pem format is not sufficient to access the server. So you need to have another type of format, that is PPK. So for the PPK format, you need to go for putty gen. So whenever you are installing the putty, with the putty, automatically putty gen will be installed. So what you have to do, you have to convert this .pem format or as .pem file into .ppk format so that you can access your servers. So let me go back here and load, click on, sorry, not the putty, where is the putty gen? Yeah. Load, click on load, and after clicking on load, go to, so I have downloaded my delete later .pem file in download. So what I am going to do, all files, delete later .pem, open. Now, this is the public key that is stored inside my private key, and as well as from the private key, I am going to save the key as private key. Save as private key and click yes, and this time I am going to create it as delete later. So this is the PPK format that I am going to create. Save. Now, if you see here, automatically I got my PPK format. So this is the private key with the PEM format, and this is the private key with the PPK format. PEM files are very important. Why those are important, I will let you know in the next session. But as of now, this is the delete later PPK file, which is a private key, and this can be accessible right now. Now, what I am going to do here is, let me go to my putty. First of all, I will create a VPC again. Sorry, again, I will create an instance here. Let me go to my EC2 instance. In EC2 instance, I am going to deploy an instance. Already one instance is running, but it is unfortunately, it is muted. So I'm going to do like this. launch an instance. So I'm going to create here, it has a server-2. And I'm going to select the delete later public key. This is the public key which I am providing. And I want to create this server in Uber VPC with the public subnet 1. So here you can see associate auto assign public IP is enabled, which means I am going to select the security group. And here I am going to select the default VPC, launch instance. And view all instances. And select the server. With the server, if you see in the previous time, so with somebody asked me why we need to give the DNS host names. If at all, if we don't enable DNS host names, then this particular DNS address will not be available to us. So to enable this DNS address for my server, I am enabling the DNS host names. Okay, if I don't enable the automatic public IP, then here the public IP will not be available for me. So to enable the public IP, I need to have a public auto assign public IP, and as well as to enable the DNS names, then I need to enable the public DNS names. So it is very important to enable the public DNS names. So I will copy this DNS name and go to my putty here, EC2-user. I will give it in a small letters, EC2-user. Why? Because I have selected Amazon Linux server, so I need to go for EC2-user. I will provide the DNS name over there. And if I want to open this server, definitely I need to have a key. So let us go to the connection. In the connection, you can see the SSH configuration. In the SSH, you need to go for the authentication. In the authentication, click on browse. When you click on browse, you can see here delete later key is there. Select the delete later key, open, and now I want to have enhance my so let us open that, and I will tell you later. Now when I click on open, I am able to access my server. But if you see here, you are unable to see, it is very small. So what I am going to do here is change the settings, go to the appearance, and here I am going to save it as 18. Okay, and if you want to change the color also, you can change it out. Now you can see your server is able to, you can access your server right now. This is how you can access your server through putty. Okay, is there any doubts here, guys, how to access the server? If you are understanding this, then we can sort out the session here. I will stop the session, but sorry for today. Actually, I am in a meeting right now, so sorry for today. Tomorrow we will discuss about the VPC, again VPC peering and all the concepts. Tomorrow onwards we will discuss about the configuration, and I just want to give some of the glimpse about the Linux operating system also. Is there any doubts here, guys? Any doubts? Why we are going to create the public key and private key? Yes, waiting for your replies.
Hi Chaitanya, actually
Hi.
I have one query.
Yes.
Actually, if we don't have .pm file and I am able to see the server in AWS, so can I download the .pm file from AWS or existing instance?
No.
No. Yeah.
No, it cannot be done. What you are asking, you have downloaded the .pm file, but unfortunately the .pem file is deleted. So how can I re-download that? Once you delete, once you lost your PEM file, it is unable to recover the PEM file for the Amazon also.
Oh, okay.
So it is not possible to re-download that.
Okay.
Okay.
So can we create another PM file for that or not possible?
It is not possible. One instance is completely coped up with a one key itself. If you see here, the instance is coped up with. If you go down here, you can see the key pair name delete later. So that will be, if at all, if you give the consent delete later.pm file, then only the server will be opened. Okay, without the key, you cannot open the server. But there is an option also. I will tell you that in the next. We have so many sessions, right? In that sessions, I will tell you how to open the server without the key pair also. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Chaitanya.
Yeah.
Thanks.
One more thing here I want to say, we are not going to study about the AWS. We are going to get that training. It will be completely practical sessions. Please don't ask me some sort of questions like, why can't we get the documents? You can get the documents when you go to the websites. Okay, here you need to get concentrated on the configurations. If you go to the companies, they will ask you, In the interview perspective, they will go for the theoretical questions. But when you go for the company, you will not be working on the theory. You will be working more on practical. So here the complete sessions will be the practical sessions only. Understand? Okay. So that's all from my end. Tomorrow we will meet and discuss about the remaining concepts regarding your VPC configuration. And whenever you deploy any server, please terminate the server in the demo sessions. If you don't terminate the server will keep on running. They will be giving you charges. Okay. So we'll discuss about that in later on concepts. That's all for today. Have a nice day. And we'll meet in the tomorrow's 8 a.m. session. And tomorrow onwards, it's a paid link. It's a registered. Whoever has registered to the classes, they will be getting the link for themselves. Okay. So as of now, that's all for today. We'll meet in the next session. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.